It's time to talk markets on the program. Joining me is Eric Osterhaus with Paragon Ag Advisors, Silver Lake, Kansas. Well, first of all, Eric, we still don't have any government reports to base any movement of this market off of. Now, we are getting, of course, the daily box beef and pork cutout information for the livestock side. We're still getting the ethanol report and the NOPA crush report. But those aren't directly completely funded by the USDA. But we don't have the world supply and demand estimate now, and we're still not getting the overnight sales or the weekly sales. So without all of this information, is the market just working on technicals at this point?
It sure appears to. I mean, without anything else to go on, if you put yourself in the technical trader's shoes and you're a chart trader, let's just say, you don't have any of that bothersome fundamentals to get in the way of anything that you want to do. So I think you do see that the technicals are getting traded quite a bit more, and I think we'll continue that. Like I said, it's just, without any of that news, the only fundamental news that we actually get is just more rumors and independent reports. And so the traders really kind of have free reign for a while. And if you look at what the markets have done in the last couple weeks especially, you really see that. Those lines of support and lines of resistance, it seems like they're pretty much holding all the way through. And every now and again, a random news event or something will come through and it'll allow the market to trade back up to the other direction, because eventually that does happen. And that's really largely what we've seen.
Well, okay, I want to talk about those levels of support because we took corn down to a pretty critical level, broke through a period there on, I believe it was Tuesday. It really came back on Wednesday and held just a little bit. I guess you could say the same thing for wheat, and hogs took a pretty big hit, went down and broke through some support there on Wednesday as well. So now what does the market do? Can it just kind of get in this range? What do you look for from now till the end of the month? Because we go another week with this government shutdown. It looks like there will not be at all any January numbers, that it may all get rolled into February.
Yeah, and I think what the market's going to look for is how likely is it that the shutdown is going to take place or is actually going to come out of that shutdown here within the next few weeks, especially leading up to that report. I think we'll start trading rumors of the shutdown, whether that's going to end, and of course whether or not we'll see those next USDA reports come in. I know there's a real fear by some, including me, I shared a little bit, that what I hope they don't do is suddenly come out with just a deluge all in one day, all these back reports and things, and just overwhelm the market with so much information. It just makes for a real choppy and uncomfortable day, no matter which side of the market you're on. And I think that we'll trade rumors. Rumors, is the report going to come out here? Are they going to do something special just so that February report can go out, if they don't want to continue to miss these reports, if they feel it's that important, some sort of a partial opening of the USDA in order to do that. There are some hints and rumors out there that maybe they would do something like this. But again, until then, it is, buy the rumor is really what I think it's probably going to be in the meantime.
Well, and we saw some of that, on Wednesday. Some limited offices for the FSA offices actually reopened. There is that school of thought also, and I've heard the same thing, that one of the things that the trade does not want is this big information dump all at once that they would have to work through. So what about some of these rumors? Earlier there was a rumor kind of floating around that maybe Robert Lighthizer, the U.S. Trade Representative, said maybe the talks aren't going with China as well as they had expected. But again, no way to be able to confirm that or deny that one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the news earlier in last week that got the soybean market to break a little bit and actually brought the corn with it, and even, traded through some of those technical support numbers, the near-term stuff anyway, not the long-term technical support numbers, but enough to push them down. And again, what a great example in the lack of any other information, just a general comment from Mr. Lighthizer, and away the markets went. Now again, in the next week or two, I'm just telling you, if we get any kind of positive comment from Mr. Lighthizer, don't be surprised to see the markets trade back up to the near-term highs. But it's just going to be real difficult to get through those highs, at least on the future side of the equation, without some real solid facts. Plus, I think in the background, I think you have a lot of folks out there with grain in the bin, with grain in the elevator, and they've seen what this trade has done over the last several weeks to a couple months. And when we get up to those near-term resistance levels, I think you do start seeing a little bit of selling, farmer selling take place, adding to that, the ability for the traders to turn and push it right back down again.
I've got about 60 seconds, maybe just a shade over that left here. I want to talk about the livestock in depth just a little bit. Looks like China is still having problems. Now Mongolia has issues with African swine fever. At some point, the rest of the globe is going to need a lot of pork.
Yeah, it really feels like, and I know the Chinese are encouraging their pork producers there in their country to quickly restock, which again, easier said than done, in all honesty, especially when it still seems like that swine fever is a little bit out of control. Again, you're seeing it spread across borders now to Mongolia, at least again, that's the discussion. So again, it's one thing for the Chinese to want that to happen. It's another thing for the time and the effort for it to happen. So in the meantime, again, it does feel like there's a pretty big gap. And if nothing else, what you see with something like this is that the Chinese will look at this and say, hey, the school of thought is we need to have some pork on reserve in case this would happen in the future again.
Yep, that's a good point. If somebody wants to contact Paragon Ag Advisors, how do we do it?
Best way to give us a ring, 888-452-8751.
All right, Eric, thank you very much. Always good to visit with you. Eric Osterhaus here joining us for this portion of the program. You can contact them at Paragon Ag Advisors in Silver Lake, Kansas. Now, be sure and stay with us because coming up here in just a little bit, we've got the resumption of the show coming up. Don't go